first reactions to the Borderlands movie.
It was?
That's fun. Yeah.
There was Borderlands. Wait, was there clips put out for the Borderlands movie, or what was it?
I'm guessing just test showings. Borderlands movie early reactions called the film terrible and unfunny.
Like, man, I'm really just disappointed, especially like because Gearbox is like handling all the stuff with the Borderlands movie, and it's just like just to hear this or whatever, it's just like, do you even know how to do your own game? Like, you don't even know how to adapt your own game?
Making a good Borderlands movie should be so easy.
Should be so easy.
And the fact that they fucked it up somehow is crazy.
Like Borderlands, even Borderlands 1 and 2 are just like, they're just like set up so easily for a good movie adaptation. Yet for some reason, somehow, even Gearbox managed to fuck it up. Astounding. It really is.
I mean, I guess it's not too surprising considering, like, haven't the last couple of Borderlands games not been received, like, super well?
I mean, here's how I look at it. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands wasn't bad. It's just that they didn't, it's like they put out like kind of like a live servicey like looter shooter game, and then just didn't support it. Like, I mean,
yeah, I heard like Wonderlands was pretty good. I was thinking more along the lines of I heard a lot of people didn't like Borderlands 3.
Borderlands 3 had a rough start where it was like it had technical problems, it had loot problems, and just like generally the guns were not all that interesting, and then they ended up adding more later. I think the game's in a fine state now. It's just the problem is, why would I go back to play it?
Yeah.
Like, the story of it or whatever was pretty lackluster and not interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the game itself was fine. I think it got put in a better spot. The thing is, as well, is, like, I'll never understand why in single player games like Borderlands, why they nerf guns. It's like, what's the point of that?
It makes no fucking sense.
It's like,
really.
if you want people to use different guns or whatever, just make the other guns stronger.
Better, yeah.
Like, buff the ones that aren't as good, while the other ones are still not bad, just maybe not as good as this one. Or you put them all to equal standing to the point where it's like, oh, anyone could use anything, really, if they wanted to. If they like this gun over this gun, then they can use that or whatever. They like this legendary thing over the other one, sure, go for it.
I mean, it's just fucking weird in general, in my opinion, to have like a gun meta in a single player game like that.
Yeah, that's also
like,
what I don't understand either.
What's even the point of that? There's no like competition going on there.
Well, it's just like the whole point of and this is what I say, like with like Borderlands 2, it's like the main thing with like why Borderlands 2 was so good is because each of the legendary guns felt so unique compared to the other ones or whatever, and that the skill points and the characters themselves would work around certain ones or whatever. It's like, obviously certain guns in certain classes' hands were better off, but like that's how it should be. You pick a class, you want to go for the guns that are going to work with that class, that type of thing. And then you can have just generally just like, strong ones or whatever. But it's just like with Borderlands 3, it's just like, oh, the idea was that like there were that certain guns were just so much more powerful than the other ones that it's like, why would I go use those ones?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they put in all these things, but then forgot how to balance them to the point. Yeah, I don't know. It's dumb. Maybe with Gearbox leaving from Embracer, it's like maybe they'll actually be able to make a good Borderlands game for once.
I mean, you would hope so. Apparently, they can't make a good Borderlands movie.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I'll hold my judgment until I actually see it.
Do you know?
I wasn't joking, by the way. I'm going to get super fucked up before I go into that movie.
And the thing is like,
yeah,
I think the Borderlands movie wouldn't be as poorly received as it is, but the casting for a lot of the characters just feels so off.
It makes no fucking sense. Like we've discussed this before, but I'm sorry. What the fuck is Kate Blanchett doing in that movie?
Kate Blanchett,
Kevin
Hart as
movie?
Roland is the biggest. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is that decision to me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like not saying he couldn't do that, but like do it as like a side character, not as a main character. You know, he could be like a fucking psycho or whatever. Like you could have him as a psycho or whatever that just kind of shows up and does some like funny, witty banter or something like that. Instead, you're just, oh no, he's Roland. What are you talking about? Roland's like this big, over-imposing dude or whatever. Kevin Hart's like, how tall is Kevin Hart? Like 5'2" or something like that. He's not that short. He's not that short. I'm pretty sure he's not that short.
I'm pretty sure he's shorter than Tom Cruise. For dumb reasons, I give a fuck. So I'm gonna look this up.
I just did myself too.
Okay, how tall is Kevin Hart?
5'5".
5'5". Okay,
That's pretty average for dudes. Maybe even a little on the short side, but still pretty average.
Haha! Tom Cruise has 2 inches on him. Sorry, that's important to me for some reason.
I love how I look up how tall is Roland in the Borderlands, and it autofills for me.
Jesus. Obviously, a lot of people have been looking for this before.
Yeah, and Roland's 5'11", which is crazy to me because he looks so much taller in the games. I feel like they made Roland shorter, or everyone is apparently just really short in the games. Because I feel like Roland should be like a 6'2", like big ass dude.
I feel like hell, even Terry Crews would be a better pick for Roland.
Bautista, David Bautista, be perfect. I'm still saying Jack Black would have been a perfect Marcus Munitions. It would have been perfect.
And then just get the regular Claptrap voice actor to reprise his role.
Right. It's not like you need a new voice actor for Claptrap. Just bring in the guy who's already doing it.
I will be honest. I also think Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of miscast. I do think she's going to be one of the better actors in the movie.
Tannis is not like 60-some years old or however old Jamie Lee Curtis is.
No, but Jamie Lee Curtis herself is a good actress.
I understand that, but I'm saying the character that she's portraying is supposed to be like 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying she's going to do a shit job, but what I am saying is that the character that she's portraying is not 60.
Yeah.
How old is Jamie Lee Curtis? I don't even know.
Oh, I think she's in like her 70s now. She is old.
65. Okay, I wasn't too far off.
Well, shit, I feel bad now. Okay.
No, she'll be a good Dr. Correja, though.
Okay.
For the live action. Mm-hmm. Still don't know if that's the case, but it definitely needs to happen. Man, I just think about how good the Borderlands movie could have been, and how much Gearbox hyped it up when the initial announcement was happening, and I go, oh man, it's gonna be so good. I was like, Gearbox is handling it too. It's gonna be great. And everything you see from it, you go, how the fuck did they fuck this up so bad? How? I haven't even seen the movie, and I can already tell I'm probably not gonna like it.
It sucks too, because haven't the last couple of video game movies been kind of good?
Have they? What video game movies have come out recently?
I don't know. I thought Super Mario Brothers was okay.
I mean, yeah, it was fine.
I thought Uncharted was...
It was fine.
Okay.
I thought it was fine, honestly. Like, some people didn't like it, but I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Is there sequels supposed to be planned for that? I don't even know if that's a thing.
I think they wanted to, but I don't think the first movie did too well. Shit, I thought a lot more video game movies have come out. Okay.
Like I was trying to think. I was like, what video game movies have come out recently? Not many.
So, okay, Sonic the Hedgehog and the Super Mario Brothers movies were okay. And I guess just everything else is garbage.
Pretty much.
Spy Kids 3?
Spy Kids 3.
I don't know. I'm looking at a lot of these, and all of the game movies that I'm seeing.
I mean, I guess the Five Nights at Freddy's movie wasn't bad. I thought I enjoyed it at least.
That one could have been worse, but
it could have been. I was honestly expecting it to be worse.
I'm looking at some of these like the Hitman movies are terrible. Almost all the Resident Evil movies are terrible. Max Payne is terrible. Monster Hunter sucks. Dead Rising. I'm guessing that was trash. Street Fighter was okay. That movie came out back in the 80s.
I feel like I'm gonna
I
watch
don't
the
know. I'm
Borderlands
going on
movie,
a
and I'm
rant.
gonna
I'm
walk
sorry.
away saying, you know what? Maybe I was too hard on the Tomb Raider movie that came out years ago.
Oh no.
Or like, what was the Monster Hunter movie or whatever?
Yeah.
That one was shit too.
Oh, dude, Assassin's Creed.
I still never
That
seen that.
movie. Oh boy, you really don't need to.
I figured as much.
Holy shit. Like the Assassin's Creed stuff was good, but that was like maybe that was what all the like Assassin's Creed sections of the Assassin's Creed movie took place for maybe like a grand total of 10 minutes in an almost 2-hour movie. What the fuck, bro? And then did anybody watch Gran Turismo?
Just real fast, because I was just thinking
Yeah.
about this the other day, because somebody was talking to me about this. Did people like the World of Warcraft movie?
I mean, I will admit I had fun with it, but at the exact same time, I do not have any sort of, connection or nostalgia to the Warcraft franchise.
See, that was always my thing. Is like that's how I never really wanted to watch it, because I was like, I never really care. I never played WoW, never really cared to, or whatever. So I was just like, I feel like I'm gonna go into that movie completely lost of like what's happening or what should be happening type thing.
I mean, I understood it fine.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure they made it fine, but like I was just curious.
I personally had a good time with it. I know a lot of World of Warcraft fans absolutely despised it.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I had fun with the movie.
I just looked at it on Rotten Tomatoes, and it for critic reviews, it's at a 29%, but audience reviews had it at 76. So I was just like, huh, interesting.
Let's see here. Wait a minute. This was Mortal Kombat. I heard that was good. The new one, not the old one, obviously. Then, okay, this is not video games, but I personally really liked Honor Among Thieves, Dungeons and Dragons,
Oh yeah, no, I love that movie. That was a great movie.
and I really hope that movie gets a sequel. I
I
had fun with it.
want there to be like more D&D movies like that, kind of just
Yeah.
like, it's like, because like Magic had like a little like had some like a secret layer like set for it. I know they did that a while back for it.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was hoping, and I think, didn't D&D put out like a module for it, like a pre-made module for that campaign for like people to actually run?
I think so, yeah.
I thought they did.
Man, speaking of Magic, whatever happened to all like the Magic the Gathering TV shows and movies that we were apparently going to get at one time? Did all of those just disappear into the ether? Because I
guess.
swear we were going to get like a fucking Chandra TV show at some point.
I don't know.
I don't know. I do want to ask one more time. Did you watch Gran Turismo at all?
No.
When that came to... Okay, didn't think so.
No, I did not care to watch that movie.
I've never met a single person that's seen that movie or talked to a single person that's seen
Like
that
I saw the trailer for it, and I said to myself, I'm like, do I really want to watch this movie? I don't give a shit.
It looked like it looked like crap. Okay, audience score 98, 65 critic score.
For Gran Turismo?
Yeah.
Really?
That's on Rotten Tomatoes anyway.
How many reviews for the how many reviews does it say for audience?
For audience 2,500 plus verified
Son of a
ratings.
really, people watched that and actually liked it.
Mhm.
I always feel like it's the classic tale, though, of the underdog, where it's just like, oh, you can't do it, and I was like, you're just a stupid nerd gamer or whatever, and then he did it, and I was just like, yeah, see, look, I could do it.
Mhm.
It's always, everyone loves those type of stories, regardless of whether or not they're good or not.
That being said, it has the same audience score as Ford v Ferrari, so I'm guessing people are just wrong there.
Because Ford v Ferrari was a very good movie.
That was a masterpiece.
It was
I loved Ford v Ferrari.
So good. I watched it again, like not like probably a couple of months ago or whatever, just to throw something up or whatever while I was doing something else. And I went, fuck yeah, I fucking love this movie. This movie's great.
I think it's just because it's Gran Turismo, the bar is automatically set lower. Like, it has a 7.1 on IMDb.
Real fast, again, completely off topic, but I actually got around to watching Oppenheimer over the weekend.
You've never seen Oppenheimer before?
I watched it for the first time this weekend. Fucking great.
I cannot fucking believe you missed that movie in theaters, dude.
I've listened to it. I listened to it with headphones. It is fine. I just like the experience in general.
Oh my god. Okay, well I'm glad that you finally watched it, but holy shit.
Yeah, it was good though.
Nice. Okay.
I'm glad I called what Oppenheimer told Albert at the beginning of the movie when he was by the lake, and it was just like I was like, how much you want to bet? He just said, "Hey, I just set the world on the path of destruction and death." So, there's that. And I was just like, huh, that's in general, that's pretty much what he said.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm glad I called that. And also terrified that I called that.
I mean, great movie, though.
Yeah.
I mean, his invention did lead to the...
it's always the idea.
Mutual destruction treaty or whatever it was called, where no one uses nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Everyone's afraid that...
Basically what NATO ended up becoming.
Yeah.
Where it's like nuclear arms restrictions and stuff. Like, can't just, build up constantly. But it was just like, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, he hinted toward it on multiple occasions. It's just like, what's going to stop people from just building up a bunch of nuclear arms? Well, you need great oversight, he said the name of the president that it wasn't Truman. It was the guy before him. Roosevelt.
For Roosevelt, that's right. For a minute, I thought you were talking about Reagan.
No, not Reagan. That was Reagan happens later.
Yeah.
But no, as Roosevelt talked about, because he was the president that wanted to set up like United Nations to bring government oversight across all countries, basically, and saying like in regulation of especially like weapons of mass destruction and everything like that. Mm-hmm. That was basically what happened shortly after. Well, they tried it originally after World War I with the with that, but because the United States didn't end up joining, it fell apart very fast. And then after World War II, they realized, the U.S. realized that, if we want, the United Nations to actually survive, and the United States is a superpower now, we actually need to take part in this.
Yeah.
And, seeing what we did to the Japanese people, yeah, we need to be a part of this. No, I was like, Oppenheimer hit a bunch of things. I was like, it hit my history nerd like phase or whatever, or it was just like, because like even like he hit on certain things that ended up coming to be, while at the same time it's just like, just being a generally good, like, interesting movie about how they actually created the atom bomb. And the fact that they, the idea for the hydrogen bomb wasn't long after that. It happened in the middle of that. It's like, how do we create hydrogen bombs? Well, we need the atom bomb. Yeah, but...
we need to make the atom bomb.
We need to make the atom bomb to get the hydrogen bomb. The other like thing or whatever is just like, these scientists can create like these, weapons of mass destruction or whatever type thing or whatever. But like, and ultimately it's like, Oppenheimer said, he's like, I've got blood on my hands, because it's like, even though I was the thing, I created this, I didn't choose for it to be used on the Japanese people, and I feel like I should have been able to choose or whatever. And
yeah,
in theory he did, because he did help pick the two cities or whatever. So, but at the same time, it's like, what's stopping scientists now and everything like that when all of a sudden the government just decides how they use it? So it's like, should we And then you go, well, the idea of like, oh, well, if we didn't make the atom bomb, then, the Soviets or the Nazis would have ended up just making the nuclear bomb, and maybe. The thing is do you want to leave that up to chance? And that was the number one thing. It's like people, it was like Oppenheimer even said, even was just like, it's like, we could not do this and then just like leave it to chance. But it's like, wouldn't you want to be the one with the trigger? Like, it's a weird thing, right? Because it's like, if you don't research it, eventually somebody will, and you don't know the intentions of that person. Whereas you know your intentions behind it. Doesn't mean they're necessarily good, but the intentions. It's whether or not you can control the things.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's best for everyone if everyone has access to these weapons, because no one...
With regulation. With regulation.
With regulation. That's primarily where I'm coming from, because my whole mindset is, if everybody has it, then everyone's less likely to use it. I get that mindset very much, because, that way everyone understands, okay, if I fling my nukes at this person, at this country or whatever, they can just swing theirs back at me, and then we all lose.
And again, this is kind of like brought up in the movie or whatever as well. It's like that you can just say you have the atom bomb, and you can kind of understand, help, and you can like, you say it's like, oh, it's a bomb 100,000 times stronger than, TNT or whatever. And it's like, you can say that, and it, it sounds impressive because we all know what TNT can do and whatever. And it's like, oh, it's an explosion that's bigger than that by 220 times. But unless you like see the scale of it and the destruction of it, then people get scared of it. And then it's just like, oh, this is really bad and people should not have this type thing, or at least it should be under heavy regulation and everything like that. So it's like, it's weird. I don't want to advocate for dropping a nuclear bomb on people, or whatever. I'm just saying this right now. But in essence, it was going to be used on somebody, because there needed to be scale. There needed to be the idea of how much destruction can be wrought as a result of this. And it really sucks that it had to be used on somebody to understand that whole process, because not everyone can have that scientist's mind to understand just how destructive this can be. And it's like, and the thing is like, we start with the atom bomb, and then you work towards like, hydrogen bomb, or what comes after, like more potentially nuclear energy and stuff like that. Like, what's going to stop, like, just like bigger, more impressive weaponry being used the same way in like on other countries and everything like that. And it's just like, whoo, all right, now we're really getting into it. But that's why it's like, it's honestly kind of crazy to me that it took as long as it did for the United Nations to actually be a thing. It wasn't until like, what was it, 1940s, 1950s? When did the UN get established?
It was 1945.
1945, because that was part of if I remember correctly, that was part of the concession for Japan surrendering as well.
NATO was then founded on 1949.
History is scary and crazy all at the same time. That's why it's just like, it sucks that we had that somebody had to get bombed. It really did. Again, not advocating for it. It had to happen to understand the scale, and for people to be scared of what can be created through science and molecular fusion. And like, now that science is getting bigger and bigger, and even today it's still getting bigger and bigger. It's like, I really think in our, like, in the not so distant future that we're gonna have like really powerful laser technology. And it's like, yeah. I mean, the fact is, like, drones are being used as bomb strikers now. You don't even have to fly in with planes anymore. It's like, jeez, it's scary.
Well, then that also... the idea of having a space laser is cool, but it's complicated by the fact that we as, a society have put so many satellites up there. There's a rumor that in the next 10 years, like, if we keep, putting more and more shit up into space, space might just become inaccessible.
The idea that there's just so much trash in the atmosphere that, yeah, it's just like, it'd be dangerous to actually send stuff up because of what it could crash into and then, throw everything awry and potentially just explode. Which would create even more trash in the atmosphere, making it even more dangerous.
Dude, the fact that the movie WALL-E got so much shit right pisses me off.
I know, right? Oh, man. Yeah. I like how we were talking Oppenheimer and then we just got real dark.
Yeah.
I guess that's just the general.
That's
just the generally of the movie, though.
Yeah.
Maybe I should finally watch Barbie then, so that way I can say I watched Barbenheimer.
You haven't watched Barbie yet?
Nope.
Andrew. But are you planning to watch Borderlands in theaters?
I guess.
What the fuck?
I don't know, man. I'll ask my brother, and if he wants to go see it or whatever, I'll use like dollar passes on it. I'm sure they won't have a problem with me using dollar passes on fucking Borderlands.
I mean, the only movies they have problems with for dollar passes are
Marvel and like Star Wars and stuff. Well, I guess we haven't had a
just
Star Wars
all
movie
Disney
in a while.
Stuff. Just all Disney stuff.
Yeah, that's how I figured.
I tried to go to Inside Out 2 after its opening weekend, and it's like, yeah, first 2 weeks. Until then, just can't.
Yeah, I remember that was a thing when I was when I was still working with the theater after COVID or whatever, and for that little bit I did. And it was like, yeah, they said it's like, oh yeah, you can't sign in for the first 2 weeks or whatever, and you can't use dollar passes for the first 2 weeks of Disney movies anymore. And I went, wow, okay.
That's a concession they're asking for.
Yeah, I guess, the movies that everyone wants to see, and now we can't use the thing that we always have. But after those 2 weeks, free to go.
If they're still in theaters by that point, basically.
I mean, most probably are, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, there's still some good movies that we can use dollar passes on. Like, I was able to see both Ghostbusters and Planet of the Apes that way.
God, I totally forgot that Ghostbusters movie came out. Was it any good?
It was okay.
Okay. I never really watched, like, the... Was that like not the reboot of Ghostbusters, wasn't it? Or was that was a sequel to it, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a reboot series.
It was a reboot series, but it wasn't the first movie of the reboot.
No, the first one was Afterlife.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Funnily enough, I still haven't seen that movie.
Me either.
I own the Blu-ray. I just need to sit down and watch it one of these days.
I've never actually watched any of the Ghostbusters except for the first one.
Hot take, maybe the franchise has always been mid.
Yeah,
the movies are good. Don't get me wrong; they are good movies. But a lot of people talk all this shit about like, oh yeah, they're the greatest movies of all time, yeah, and
they're great nostalgia.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 2 sucks ass, but yes,
yeah,
it's.
I think it was just like that's just like a thing though. It was just like the first one was always good, and then after that it was like kind of goes downhill real fast. I feel like for a lot of those like 90s ones.
Yeah.
Very few of those movies end up being better. Like the sequels end up being better.
Mm-hmm. Another hot take, maybe the only good Back to the Future movie is the Back to the Future 2 is good. I'll shut up.
Oh. I've only ever seen Back to the Future 1. I've never seen 2.
2's the one where they go to the future.
Oh.
You've never seen that one?
Nope, never seen it.
Wow.
I think it was always one of those things where I was just like, I just assumed that the sequel was always worse than the original, so I just never went to go see sequels.
I mean, Back to the Future 3 is crap. There are people that defend it, obviously, but they're morons. I don't know what's up with me today. I have a lot of hot takes going through my head.
Yeah. The only sequel I feel like I liked more than the original, and you're gonna fucking hate me when I say this, but yeah. I think The Matrix 2 is better than The Matrix.
Okay.
I've heard people go blasphemy, but now here's my thing. I didn't watch The Matrix when it came out.
The Matrix 2 was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I had fun with The Matrix 2.
The Matrix 2 feels like basically like just like it's less about like a sci-fi and more of just like action in a way, but like sci-fi action or whatever. Like my favorite scene, and everyone always says like, "Oh, this was a terrible scene." And I go, "Really?" And I was like, when it was Neo versus all the Smith clones or whatever, when he first like meets them all or whatever, when he first like sees Smith.
That was a great
scene. It was so fucking cool. Right? He's just swinging around trying to keep them at arm's length or whatever. He's got the pole. He's flinging it around and everything. He's kicking their asses. And then, like, eventually the Smith clones start taking over, and then he just jets out of there. He just flies out of there. And it was an awesome fight. It was so cool. I think I would feel differently about it if I had actually watched The Matrix back in, like, what was it, 99 when that came out?
I mean, yeah. I think a lot of people, when it comes to these franchises, is that a lot of that people are just... Yeah. A lot of people are just blinded by nostalgia, I think. And a lot of people are the worst kind of purists, where it's like, oh no, the best one is always the first one. Franchises like that always go downhill after that. And if you're talking like Matrix 3, it's like, sure, whatever. Or whatever other Matrix movies have come out in the last couple years. I heard the newest one was pretty bad.
Oh, it's garbage. When Resurrections was coming out around the time I got into The Matrix, because I had never seen The Matrix, and I was just like, fuck, I guess I got to see The Matrix at least once, right? And it was like right during COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it was just like I'm sitting at home doing fucking nothing or whatever. So I was just like, I was just like, well, I guess I'm like, this is like the perfect time to go watch like a bunch of movies I've never watched. So I watched Matrix. I watched Matrix 1, 2, and 3. And I was like, oh, it's, Matrix 1, super solid. Matrix 2, my favorite of them all. Matrix 3 is fine, I guess. And then it was like, and Matrix Resurrection, garbage. Hot garbage. It was so, I disliked it so much. They nerfed Neo in it, and then they gave Trinity like the one powers, basically, like all the one powers that Neo had in like the first like couple movies, or whatever. He no longer has. He now has the Force, basically.
What?
Yeah, he basically just now has the Force.
That's no fun.
Yeah, and now they're both the one, and rather than freeing humanity from the machines, like thing like the Matrix, It was just like, no, we're just going to live here and, it's now our world. It's not the machine's world anymore. And I go, what? The whole point of all the Matrix films is to get people out of the Matrix. Now you're saying you're okay with living in one? Because it's our world now. What? Makes no sense. I knew instantly I wouldn't like the movie because right towards the beginning, one of like, because like the whole thing is that the whole premise of Matrix Revolution is that Neo is a game. He's a video game designer basically, and he designed a video game that's basically just the Matrix or whatever, and that's the game. The game is the Matrix. And so you're just like, really? Really? That's what you're going to do?
What the fuck?
Yeah. And so now The Matrix is a best-selling video game in that world. And so he works with like a bunch of just like he's one of the biggest game developers in the world or whatever. And he's at like a coffee shop where he sees Trinity, but Trinity doesn't remember him because she's been brainwashed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like, something in the brain kicks off. He's like, wait, do I know you type thing or whatever? And then like one of his like coworkers sits down and he goes, oh, you know her? And he goes, no, I don't know her or whatever. But it was just like, well, she's a total babe. And then she sees like kids run up and walk to her or whatever. And he's like, I see. MILF alert. And I'm like, are you and right there and then, I knew I was going to hate this movie. That was in the first 20 minutes of the movie. From what I can always tell is like there's some people that absolutely love Matrix Resurrection. I don't know how you could. And then there's some people, and then there's a good amount of people that do that don't like it. And I go, you're the correct people.
I mean, I heard the Xbox tech demo was okay, so it has the Matrix franchise has that going for it.
I mean, yeah, sure.
But no, I definitely get where you're coming from, and I think this maybe, I guess we're full of hot takes this episode. I personally think, while the first Toy Story is a legendary movie, and it'll hold a special place in both my heart and in animation for all time, I do think Toy Story 2 is a better movie.
Really?
Yes.
See,
I agree with my brother on that. I do think it is a more well-made film.
Okay, I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But, like, to me, it's like I've never put... Well, that's not true. I put Toy Story 3 as the best Toy Story.
That is a hot take.
I personally think it's the best one, but also... Mm-hmm. I also look at it going, like, basically... The timeline that they and the times that those movies have always come out, they've basically coincided with my life in a way. That's why I was like, I always feel like I can't accurately rate Toy Story because at every point in my life, basically, I've felt like a very meaningful connection because like around the time, and the fact is like character's name is Andy, which is basically my name.
Yeah.
So it was just like I always felt like a sort of connection. I was just like, so it was like, I remember I was like a couple years into college or whatever, and I was basically just like, when he's like putting the toys, like, he's putting all the toys in the garbage bag or whatever to go put in the attic, not out in the trash, in the attic. But it was like, and then he grabs Woody and he goes, and he puts it in his college box or whatever, and I was just like, I felt that so hard, like. I was like, I have a couple of toys at my parents' place or whatever that I was like, I kind of wish I had taken, but I didn't have the guts to do.
I relate to that too, and I completely agree with you. These movies have had a profound effect on my life, basically throughout its entire thing. And I actually have a tangible example I want to show you.
Nice.
I want you to meet this guy. This was the stuffed animal that I was given basically right as I was born. I've had this thing since I was an infant, and I've kept it through adulthood. And hopefully when I have a kid of my own, I can pass him on to him.
Nice.
But it's like, I totally get that. My whole issue with Toy Story 3 is while it has, I think, an unmatched, amazing, like, intro scene, and the ending scene is also just so good. The fact that the middle, like, chunk of it, that just has nothing to do with anything.
How so? Out of just curiosity.
I mean, the two plot lines just feel so detached. So I get the whole thing with the bear. He was thrown out. He's in this, he's in this daycare now, and he's the, antagonist because he wants to be loved by all the children, and he wants, Woody and them to be in the garbage section or whatever, and they're trying to escape, get back to this kid. Blah, blah, blah. I feel like... I don't know. I feel like the Bear's storyline wasn't... because it does reflect back on Woody and to what he's going through, because in their own ways, they're both kind of abandoned, right? I feel like they could have gone stronger leaned more into the emotional angle with the bear and kind of maybe redeemed him in a way that they redeemed, like they redeemed Buzz in the original movie, instead of just having him, tossed in a dumpster and having him stuck in the front of a truck at the end of Toy Story 3. I don't know. I personally just wasn't a fan of that.
From what I'm gathering is you just didn't like that Lotso basically just didn't have his he was basically just discarded.
He felt like he felt like a very unsatisfying villain.
Yeah, it was kind of he was a villain. He was the villain because he was the one who created all the things. But then when he could have been redeemed, Pixar went the other direction. Like he could have pushed the button to stop the conveyor belt, so that way, all the Woody and all the toys didn't have to face the fiery incineration of death.
So I want to make it clear, I'm not one of those elitists that think like Toy Story 3 is the worst thing ever. The reason I think the reason I think it's the worst in the trilogy is because because Toy Story 4 exists, which sounds like a bad reason, but also it's just that midsection. While the two are tangentially related, it feels more disconnected than it has in when compared to the previous two Toy Story movies.
Okay, I see your point.
Mm-hmm. I'm not calling it bad.
No.
It's just the first two were so good, and it's hard to make a comparison there.
It's just the thing is like with
Toy Story 4 is obviously the worst. Like, that's not up for debate.
The thing is, though, I actually really like Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4 isn't a bad movie either. It is worse than the other ones. Okay, so what is your least favorite Toy Story movie, then?
I have no idea. Okay. Reality, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I'm able to answer these things because because they are what I've put time into thinking about how I would rank this franchise, and I do think in the long run. Again, Toy Story 4 is a good movie. There's no debating that. I just think it's worse than the other three. Because out of all the movies, it feels the least necessary.
Okay, not wrong there, but
that's where I'm coming from. That's purely where I'm coming from,
and that's why I say it's it depends on depends where I am in my life. Like if I had watched Toy Story 4 when I was 13 or something like that, I probably would say it was the worst one, just because I relate to it less. But
the Toy Story 4 has great themes of basically moving on and
giving other people their day, basically give them their moment and helping them find their family and everything.
There's a lot of good themes in that, and a lot of it is about growing and adapting. And another problem that I have with Toy Story 4 is, while there was that kind of emotional connection that you had with Lotso in Toy Story 3 and how that related to the main plot of the toys feeling abandoned and, needing to move on from Andy but wanting to still be loved. I feel like the plot that took place in, I think it was an antique shop in Toy Story 4.
It was, yes.
I don't know. It's been a little while. I feel like that one was even less connected to the overall themes of the movie. Now, the, emotional core between, I cannot forget it.
Gabby Gabby.
Forgetting his names. Not Gabby Gabby. Woody and Bo Peep.
Bo Peep, yeah.
That obviously was the highlight of the film, and obviously, the dynamic that they wanted to focus on.
See,
I don't get how maybe you can explain to me. I'm not sure how Abby fit into that.
Because here's how I look at it. Toy Story 4 is basically it's Woody moving it's almost like Woody was Andy's father in a way. I mean, in retrospect, when you
Yeah.
look at the entire series, he kind of was.
No,
But-
I get completely where you're going with this. I'll let you explain, but
So it's just like Andy's now moved on to college, and basically it's like a new kid or whatever. But the fact is, like,
yeah.
you know, it's like Woody has a new kid with what's her name? The little girl that takes the toys at the end of 3. What's her fucking name again? Oh, I'm forgetting.
You keep going. I'll look up her name
But anyway,
for you.
it's like, yeah, it's like you have that, but it's clear that Woody's not, one of her favorite toys, or really one that she plays with a lot, and probably wouldn't even notice if it went missing one day. Bonnie, that's right. And so it's just like, so when he meets like Bo Peep or whatever, and she's like doing all these things, like trying.
Wait, what the fuck is that? Riley from Inside Out?
Maybe.
I never noticed that before. That's weird.
Huh.
Okay, I'll keep going.
But it's like basically just like, oh, it's like the idea that like, oh, it's like a single father or whatever doesn't really have like, a whole lot, like, the kid's gone on college or whatever. And so it's like, he kind of feels like mission complete in a way. And it's always kind of like what I feel like when the last kid kind of leaves home or whatever, a lot of parents feel. I don't know myself. I don't have a kid. But like, if I had to guess, that's probably about what it would feel like.
Exactly.
So it's just like, Woody's like, I don't know what to do. I'm not loved by this, like by Bonnie or whatever. I'm not. And so it's just like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, but like, he kind of helps, like, and then like, he sneaks into Bonnie's backpack or whatever. And, she makes Forky or whatever out of like the fork and, or whatever, the spork and whatever. And it was just kind of like, and creating like a new toy that she loves, basically.
Which presents a lot of very confusing questions for
don't worry, we're just gonna move on from that.
I know. I'm just saying.
It's some Disney princess shit where you can make anything come to life with enough love, but moving on. Anyway, but then it's like he finds Bo Peep or whatever. It's kind of like, I don't know, like a lost love, basically. Like I look at it kind of like, oh, an ex-girlfriend comes back into your life that you loved, you're still loved, but then like for whatever reason had to go their separate ways.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Then he's like trying to like, rekindle it. And then by the end of the movie, it's like,
this may sound weird. I think Bo Peep could also represent all sorts of like maybe like rediscovering a new hobby
or just finding like a new partner. I look at it.
A new partner, or just something in general that you love.
Yeah.
That isn't connected to your past life, your kid or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and then it was just like, and then like the whole thing is like Gabby never really got her day like to actually like try and be some kid's toy or whatever, like to receive the love that like Woody had, basically, because she was kind of just tossed out, basically, like. Because like her music or voice box didn't work right off the bat. It was like a defect. It was a defect right off the bat. So she was just like, it's like, Woody, I know you're not loved anymore. Basically, it's like and like Woody has to make the conscious decision of like, do I sacrifice the ability to go back to my my kid or whatever? And she never loved me, but she never really played with him at anyway, so it was just like, and feeling kind of like, sympathy for Gabby in that form, basically. It's like he made the conscious decision to say, okay, I'll sacrifice a part of myself for you, basically. And then he found joy in that. He saw the little girl, or it wasn't that little girl, it was another little girl or whatever. I remember later on, it was like the one that she was trying to, be found by the one kid or whatever once she got her music box like fixed or whatever, but that kid didn't love her or whatever, and it was like disaster, like rejection all across the board or whatever. But it was like later on, God, that scene, I was like, that scene fucking brought me to tears, dude. It was like a little girl lost in a carnival or whatever, can't find her parents.
That scene was so good.
And it was just like, hey, here's your chance. Like, go. It's like toys bring security to young children or whatever. It's just like, help be that like thing that like gives her the courage to find a police officer so that way they can find their mom or whatever. And that's what happened. And then she found a home. So
I understand all that. I want to put this out there just in general, okay? When I tell people, Toy Story 4 is my least favorite, people immediately assume that, so why don't you like Toy Story 3? There's all this good stuff about it. I get that. It's like trying to describe, like, what is your least favorite Lord of the Rings movie?
That's fair.
It's like, they're all good. It's like, if you say, like, the Two Towers, well, all this cool shit happened in the Two Towers.
Yeah. But that's why I say it's like, I can't accurately say which one is my least favorite and which one's my most favorite, is because, like, during different parts of my life, that would change drastically.
Yeah. I get completely where you're coming from.
So that's why it's like, right now in my life, the weirdest thing is I actually say Toy Story 1 is my least favorite.
You know what? That's fair, actually.
Just because it's the farthest that I am removed from that thing, from that thing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, I love Toy Story 3 is my favorite. And it just because of the pure message alone and everything like that, it's just like, and like,
Toy
same
Story
thing with 4.
Such a unique such a unique franchise in that it hasn't remained a kids franchise, I don't think. At its core, it has, obviously.
It is
but
and isn't.
Out of every series that I think Pixar has, I think it's the series that has done the best job of growing with its audience. Like, every time a new one comes out, I feel like it's appeals to the generation that saw the first Toy Story movie when they were little kids. And, they're growing and adapting, basically. Kids still... Bitch. Kids still like these movies, obviously. They're amazing kids' movies. But, people that, kind of... I hate phrasing it this way, but got too old for movies like this can still appreciate it because we... You fucking bastard. I'm sorry.
Do you got like a bug in your room?
Yeah. Piece of shit. But we can still appreciate the message that these movies present.
It's always the thing that, like, when when it's like, the parent never wants to be in, like, the kids theater, whatever, watching the kids movie or whatever, because it's like, it's all gonna just be like dumb fart jokes or something like that. It's like, it's not gonna be interesting for the adult to watch. But like, not for Toy Story though. It's like, for Toy Story, I feel like a lot of parents can relate, especially to the most recent, to 3 and 4.
I mean, I think in general that just applies to a lot of modern Pixar movies too.
That is true.
This may be another hot take. We have a lot of these on this podcast for some reason. But
a hot take podcast.
Yeah. I think the last couple of years, like this current era for Pixar movies, with a couple exceptions, I think it's been their best era ever.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100% agree.
You've had so many good movies. You got, Soul was amazing.
Soul was great. What was that?
Both Inside Out movies.
Yep.
Inside Out 2 is my second favorite Pixar movie ever, basically.
Damn.
I'm standing by that. I've seen that movie twice. That movie does so much good shit, that it's the few things that annoy me are just so easy to ignore. But it's like Turning Red. So good. I recently gave Elemental a chance. I assumed when that movie was coming out that, it's just going to be generic, Zootopia.
A lot of people did.
Most people did.
Yeah.
That movie was fantastic.
It was fantastic. I went in, I was kind of like you. I I had Disney Plus for a little bit longer yet. I was planning on canceling it or whatever. But I saw that Elementals recently got added to it, and I said, fuck it, I'm going to watch this movie. I fucking loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, you think about all like the Pixar movies that have come out in like recent years. I mean, even going back to like Coco was great or whatever, and it was great. Like,
Coco was so good.
Coco was great, and it was a good exploration into like Hispanic religion, and traditions and everything like that.
Absolutely.
And it's just like broadening their horizon or whatever.
the ending of that movie too.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
God, that the fucking like, yeah, when Miguel goes up to his grandma or whatever, and it's like remember him and stuff like that, and then he starts singing the song and real like just as he used to sing it, and I'm like, man, you really gotta hit me in the feels. You really gotta hit me in the feels, don't you? Right now, Pixar, you really had to do it. So, but it's just like, yeah, it's like you even talked about like Inside Out or whatever, like Turning Red, Soul. Soul is still one of my favorite movies of all time.
Soul did so much shit right.
Oh, so good.
The reason I skipped on Soul initially is because, it's like, they're just making an Inside Out clone. It's just going to be basically the same thing but different. I did not expect what I saw.
It's great. It's fantastic.
It was so good.
So good. And it's just like...
Again, I think to guys
and a great
like
life lesson with it, too.
Absolutely. Oh, man.
It's like, it was the message I remember when I saw it, and I was just like, I wish I could show everyone in the world this movie and, like, watch it. And, like, really... It's just like... I feel like there are so many people in the world, like, right now, that just... They set themselves on a path because they think it's the path they need to they need to take or whatever. It was the same thing with what's his face, the teacher guy. I forget his name.
And Soul portrays that struggle in such an interesting, unique, and informative way, and in such an entertaining way too.
And it's like
really just kind of hits you.
It hits you just like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, sorry. It's just like, he got, he said he wanted to be this big jazz artist or whatever, and he got the opportunity to play with one of the biggest names in at the time. And he goes, "All right, we did it." I was like, "I did it. I played with her or whatever." And then he just like looks at the lady and goes, "Well, now what?" And she goes, "Well, we come back and we do it again tomorrow and the next day. And the next day." And you'd think you'd be happy, right? Because this is what he lived for his entire life to do. Like, this is everything I wanted to do with my life. Then he realized he didn't actually live. It's like it's not until he thinks about 13 and how everything was just so new for her and everything was just so interesting and exciting and everything like that. And he realized that every little thing that he forgot to do to live in the moment, not just to think about the future. Having goals is fantastic and everything you should do. You should have goals in life, but you can't tunnel vision yourself into that. You need to live the moment that you're currently living in and stuff like that and find joy in what you're doing right now.
Dude, one of my favorite scenes in that movie, it's such a small scene that I think a lot of people would probably pass over, but the scene in the barber shop.
Yeah.
That's another just such
I loved also how they did that as well. Like, they literally consulted, like, black barbershops or whatever to, like, say, it's like, we want to get this atmosphere perfect. Because for like, black people going into a barbershop, like, it's big deal for a lot of them. Because, like, it's, for black people, as far as I can tell, it's hard to do hair. Because their hair just is different from, yours and mine.
Yeah.
And whatever. It's like, and oftentimes, like, when they get crazy with it, they're, talked about how it's like, it looks like crap or whatever and stuff like that. So it's just like the time, effort, and care they put into making sure that atmosphere that felt good or whatever. It's like, especially like, and I assume that it's the one where like 13 is in his body or whatever, and he was just like, well, I'm in the chair, I'm the boss, or whatever. And so it was just like, yeah, damn. It's like that was good. Why
I just hate how some people have been so cynical for whatever reason about recent Pixar movies. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna see Soul because it's an Inside Out ripoff. I'm not gonna fucking see Inside Out 2. It's gonna be just a shitty generic sequel. I'm not gonna see Turning Red because it's about a girl going through puberty. Gross. I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
And Elemental is just a Zootopia ripoff. It's like, the fact that you're not giving any of these movies a chance and you're just calling them crap before having any experience with them.
Small-minded people. That's all it is. I will say, I just want to point out my favorite scene, since you talked about yours in Soul. My favorite scene is when it's still like 13's like in his body or whatever, and like she just doesn't want to like go to like I think it's to like the mom or something like that to fix something, and the student or whatever that like the trombone player or whatever, and she's like, I don't know if I should quit or whatever, and they're like on the staircase. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And like she's just like, let me just play you this one part, and she's just like going in the zone, writing on the staircase or whatever, like playing this little piece for him, and I was just like, and it's just like you could see 13 like light up in a way, and it's like that's because she's in his body, and because he enjoys that, she's enjoying that. Like it's just like he does enjoy being a teacher, but he didn't realize he enjoyed being a teacher until that moment. I
mean, as someone that went to school for being a teacher, I feel like that movie probably, maybe I'm being, kind of a weirdo about this, but I feel like that movie connected with you to
absolutely.
Like a greater degree than it did for most people.
Everyone talks about how anytime you want to get into teaching or whatever, the number one thing is that you have to have a passion for it. You have to want to enjoy watching your students succeed. It's like you can't just go in saying like, oh, I'm going to teach them all, I'm going to teach this way or whatever, but you should have genuine joy for watching people learn and understand things or whatever. And it's like, if you don't, like, you can have the shittiest day in the world. Everything can go wrong. People are screaming, shouting, whatever type thing. You can have the biggest headache. And at the end of the day, if one of your students comes in and goes like, hey, I was like, I really enjoyed that, or I learned a lot that day or whatever. It's like, and it's like, you can go back and you can just like, you can have the biggest smile on your face and you go, you know what? That fucking made my day. Like that legitimately was like the best part about it. And that was like, and I was just like, damn, dude. It's like, people always talk about it. It's like, why do you talk about history so much? Because it's like, I want to show you. I want you guys. I want everyone to learn. And it's like, especially for like what I wanted to do is I wanted to teach kids in high school. It's like I wanted to teach freshmen like U.S. history or whatever, because that was what I was passionate about or whatever. And I didn't want to teach it the way that it was probably going to be needed to be taught in U.S. and whatever. I was willing to just discard it or whatever, and it was just like, I didn't give a shit. I wanted to teach history as it should be taught, but I know I was going to get in trouble for that, and that's why I decided against it, because the fucking
U.S. education
is ass. It's ass, dude. It's so bad. They don't care to actually teach kids anything or anything. It's like, and it's like the main thing that they don't want to teach people is they don't want to teach kids critical thinking. You know, you always hear about all these Republican people talking about how schools make kids woke now or whatever. The only thing that schools do is help your kid understand themselves by questioning the world as it is. That is what it should be. School, while it's good to know certain facts, do I need to know dates on history or whatever? No. I need to understand how history connects with the world today and what we can learn from the past. We were talking about Oppenheimer earlier. Like, as well, it's just like, that is a great example of it's just like history happened and learning from it.
It's a perfect example of history that can lead you to these moments of critical thinking as to, like, what these people were going through and, you know, how did they figure out these solutions to these incredibly complex issues. You are absolutely 100% right about
it's
that.
The same thing. It's like the Cold War, like during like the 60s or whatever with like Russia. It was just like people don't understand, like people who lived back in the 40s or whatever that saw the nuclear fallout that was Hiroshima and Nagasaki or whatever were absolutely terrified in the 60s of what could happen. People talk about how, the Cuban Missile Crisis, was it really that big of a deal? It was. Missiles were so close to the U.S. border or whatever, and there had never, and to this day, has still never been a war on U.S. soil or whatever. People were scared.
The mass hysteria that popped up as soon as the Cuban Missile Crisis popped up is insane. like you had all those PSAs that the United States was putting on the whole duck and cover campaign because they just wanted to calm people down.
Yeah, even if it was all bullshit,
Absolutely.
but the idea that the U.S. government was ready to handle any scenario gave people some comfort, and it's like that is crazy to think about because there's no way in hell if a nuclear bomb's going off that ducking under a desk or in a small ditch is going to save your life, but because it had to be told that way to calm people, it needed to happen. It's crazy. What was that PSA like? There was an old PSA from the 1940s or something like that that was so relevant today. And it was some government department put it out like not that long ago, and it was like so relevant today. I think it was like during like the Palestinian Israel the whole shebang that's still going on to this day, but not talked about nearly as much anymore. But it was like I think it's sort of just like it was like a thing that was like talking about how it was just like, oh, down with the whatever, blah 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 blah, and like the person's going like, yeah, or whatever, but then the guy says something he doesn't like and he goes, wait, but that's talking about me. And it's like, yeah, maybe you should have more sympathy, more empathy for people, because you never know when it's going to be your turn, or because we should be able to open up and be empathetic with people of all shapes and sizes, all different nationalities, religions, whatever. Doesn't matter. We should be able to sympathize because we're fucking human beings.
Exactly.
Boy, that got off the rail real fast.
Yeah. But this may be a bit of an unrelated topic, but going back to the whole duck and cover thing, I always think about that one scene in The Iron Giant. The fact that movie takes place during the Cold War is just so random. I've heard from people that try to defend Kent Mansley because it's like, well, everyone in the government was super paranoid around then. Yeah, but he shot a nuke at a child. Because he didn't like him. Yeah. I get the retentions back then. That may be going a bit overboard.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that, I don't know. Back then, I guess, maybe felt like an okay decision. Now, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, man.
Whew, that was fun.
That was good, though.
That was good. So, that was a great discussion.
I do just want to ask you one quick question, just because it's on my mind right now.
Yeah.
So there are obviously those teachers where as soon as you start, they'll be like, okay, so 80% of you won't be able to pass my class. What is your opinion on those people?
Oh, they're terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible.
Exactly. Okay,
I had one of those teachers in college.
Oh, okay.
She was the worst teacher I had ever had. She was a total bitch. I may have talked about her on this podcast before. If not, I'm not going to get into it because she was awful. This is a lady that said that if she wanted to dump nuclear waste in the water supply in Platteville, she could.
Jesus Christ! What the fuck?
She said that straight up, like in the middle of class, to everyone's face, and we all went, "This fucking lady is fucking crazy." Why I did not drop that class within the first 2 weeks so I could have got my money back, I will never know. I should have.
I would have submitted a complaint to someone being like,
I did.
So, this person is a fucking psychopath.
I did. I talked to it, but because she had tenure, there was nothing they could do.
Oh my god.
And that's also anywhere. I was like, I don't want to get into that, but that is the number one thing I hate about.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not getting into it. But yeah, I definitely had those teachers or whatever. But it's just like, you're the problem. You are the problem. It's like, I mean, people always talk about it. It's like, oh, why is there such a teacher shortage? There isn't a teacher shortage. There is a respect for teacher shortage. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact is that a good chunk, I shouldn't say most, but a good chunk of parents in the United States think that they can do a better job teaching their kids than teachers right now, and want to control every little bit of that happens in a classroom. That's not how this should happen.
Absolutely not.
The whole point of schooling is to open your mind, to broaden your horizons as young children, so that way when they decide what they want to do, especially like high school going into college, it's like I hear so often that kids don't know what it is they want to do going into college. Like they just graduated high school, they have no idea what they want to do with their life. I hear that so often, and that I put as a failure to the high school. That is a failure on multiple levels. Now, that can happen but the fact is how often it happens is unacceptable in my mind. Because what really should happen is that a school should and I get that not every school has the means of providing all these electives and everything like that. There are some schools that, don't get the funding or whatever. I was fortunate enough that I went to one of the most well-funded high schools in the entire state of Wisconsin at Middleton High School, and they had a ton of shit that I could do or whatever, and I got the opportunity to explore and figure out what I wanted to do. But I understand not a lot of kids have that. There are a lot of high schools that are very underfunded that don't have technology. They're still working on fucking like CRTVs and stuff like that and have projectors or whatever like the overhead projectors with like the little plastic fucking sheets that you put on it.
Oh my God.
We are so far beyond that at this point. Like there are smart boards that happen or whatever that are way better. There are still classrooms that use chalkboards. Yes, chalkboards. What the fuck? That's absurd. There are classrooms that still use textbooks from the 90s. That was 25 years ago almost. Absurd. So yeah. The whole Department of Education needs to figure out everything that's going on, because it's letting everything down, from teachers to students, to the fact is that that parents have the right to be able to like all of a sudden be able to, if they don't like what a teacher's doing, to get them fired basically. And you wonder why no one wants to teach anymore. It's like you wonder why you go by schools or whatever. There's schools around here in my hometown or whatever. They literally have signs for teachers to apply for the next semester, for the next year or whatever. It's like it's summer vacation right now, but they literally have it. It's like, if you are a teacher, please apply. We are desperate, basically. It's like, that's fucked up. I think I've talked about this once before, but it's like in Japan, it is one of the greatest honors to be a teacher. That no one questions a teacher in Japan or whatever. And it's just like, you are one of the most highest paid, well-respected jobs in the entire country, basically, when it comes to public service.
Yeah.
God, if that could exist in the United States, that would be amazing. But no. We did have one gaming topic we wanted to talk about today. Now that since we're past that, did you want to talk about it real fast?
Yeah, I think we're both on the same page of we're going to talk about the Xbox Game Pass shit, right?
Yep. Yeah. So no, I feel like we called this because didn't we say a couple weeks ago or something like that like it's probably not that long before the Game Pass gets a price hike or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I said that, and I think I also, if I'm not mistakenly,
you also predicted the day one shit.
That day one pass was not going to be in the standard, and it's only going to be available in the Ultimate. Guess what? It fucking happened.
You called that. I didn't think they'd actually go through with that.
My only thought process was with that is because I see what all these streaming services are doing, like Hulu, Disney Plus, or whatever. It's like they're adding a higher tier subscription thing or whatever if you want to just forego ads in general. So I figured eventually Game Pass is going to do that, and they did.
So let me quick outline. We can discuss afterwards, but let me just outline what the different tiers are. So there's Game Pass Core, which is just Xbox Live with a small
pretty much
catalog of games. Who cares?
Yeah, no one really is going to buy that one.
the fact that still exists shocks me.
Crazy.
Then there's standard, which is I'm guessing is the console one.
Yes.
So it gets you multiplayer, it gets you the deals and discounts, and it gets you the Game Pass catalog. But you no longer get
get day one releases.
Now Microsoft hasn't officially, it also doesn't come with EA Play or cloud gaming or whatever. But that one's going to be $15.
Uh-huh.
Now they haven't outlined exactly what the time frame is for games afterwards, but apparently it's going to be 6 to 12 months later.
Holy shit! I was thinking like maybe 3 months.
According to Jeff Grubb, he's heard 6 to 12 months.
Jesus Christ, dude, that's crazy. Okay, that's absurd. That to think that
absurd,
the first year up what could be the first year a game hits the Xbox or whatever, it won't be on Game Pass for a full year is absurd. And I know that's the longest of the long or whatever, but even 6 months is still crazy in my mind.
Let's keep in mind that none of that has been officially announced yet.
I know, so but the idea that could happen is absurd.
Yeah. I'm going to personally... no, it wasn't Jeff Grubb. I think it was Jez Corden that said that. I'm going to wait for an official announcement by Microsoft. If that's true, that is insane. I do think it should be 3 months, like top
2-3 months.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
That'd be fine. I'll save Ultimate for last. PC Game Pass is only $12 a month for whatever reason.
With everything, basically.
It has the members deals and discounts still. It has the Game Pass catalog.
Day one as well.
As day one, it's cheaper than the Xbox fucking hates their console market, dude.
That's what I don't understand about this. Like, why is the PC Game Pass better than the standard Game Pass?
I have no idea.
Why is that? Like, is there more people subscribed to the PC Game Pass than the Game Pass itself?
I'm willing to bet that's the case. But
it's got to be, right? It's got to be.
It's $12 a month. It comes with day one games. The console version does not.
Does not. It's absurd.
It also has the perks and discounts of the Game Pass library and EA Play, but it doesn't include cloud gaming. That thing that everybody uses.
Yeah.
Then there's the one that I have, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is going up to $20 a month.
Which just comes with everything.
Yeah. I will be the first to say I'm not happy I have to pay another $3 more each month for this shit.
Wasn't I reading that like people can be grandfathered into the old one or whatever as long as you don't unsubscribe or something like that, but the instant you do, you're no longer grandfathered in or something like that?
I think that's
with the standard, not for the ultimate though.
That may be. I think that's only for the first couple of months also. Too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I read. I was remembering too here.
I think it's up in like March or something, but in my personal opinion, I think based off of what I and a lot of people get out of Game Pass each month, it's still worth it. Now, if Microsoft raises prices again, that may be worth reevaluating, because I think they're very quickly hitting a ceiling with this shit, because Game Pass Ultimate is the one they want everyone to get, right? That's the one they want everyone to subscribe to.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of clear that Game Pass isn't growing as much as they want it to. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I see we saw a price hike obviously because Call of Duty is going to be putting this shit, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if or when they're going to do another price hike. I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it if they bring it up to like 25.
I mean, depends on how much you use the Game Pass library, right? Like if you're like it's just like this is like all the games I play or whatever, and it's like I continue to use it. I mean, sure, it might be worth it, but
it might be. I personally think like $20 a month is already a big premium. It's more than basically every other subscription service on the market aside from like Hulu with live TV. But I don't know. You're kind of hitting a ceiling if you go up to like 25. That's gonna chase a lot of people away.
I think once you get past that $20 mark, people start to drop off very quickly.
So
the fact is, like, they're kind of borderlining it right here. Is gonna. I think I think they, depending on how sales or how many people unsubscribe or stay subscribed to the Game Pass Ultimate, will determine if they want to even try going even further, which I think would be in their best interest not to. But
yeah,
I'm not a business person. I don't know the logistics or whatever. I don't know how greedy they want to be with this.
It's Microsoft, so
exactly
greedy. But I personally do not think that this particular price hike is going to cause a huge, loss in subscribers. I do think if they raise it anymore, it probably will.
Probably.
Especially, like, I get there's a lot of stuff coming to the Xbox platform. They had a great showcase, blah, 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 blah. A lot of those games, I'm just being real here, still have not hit the Xbox platform. The fact that we're raising prices already before any of those games hit already is just...
See, and that is what I was also thinking, too. I'm like, I'm surprised they didn't wait to do this after... I guess they want to just get in front of Call of Duty and get people not pissed off for just releasing Call of Duty or whatever with that.
That's my guess. The big reservation that I think both you and I have is, while that value is coming, it's not yet there.
Exactly, and that's why it's
Microsoft
like there's
the
Dragon Age game is coming like later this year, isn't it? Or was that like next year or something?
I think it's this year. I think it's November.
Yeah, that sounds right if I remember correctly. But it's like we don't know when.
Either this year. Or
we still don't know
year.
Like Fable's Fable's scheduled for next year.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly.
We also got stuff like South of Midnight, State of Decay 3. All this stuff is coming.
Yeah.
The problem is that none of it is here yet.
Yeah, so they're
already raising prices.
Because I think the whole thing is just like, we want, or like, I shouldn't even say that. Is they want to get the price hike out early, so that way people who are excited for the games to come will stay, will say that or whatever, or maybe they resubscribe when they do come out or whatever, so we hit them with the bigger price or something like that. Because it's like, I remember I'm sorry, I'm looking through this and trying. I thought I remember seeing that people would say like, for the first few months or something like that, or maybe the first year of this change, people who are with the Game Pass standard or whatever would be able to be grandfathered into day one passes.
Yeah.
I remember reading something about that when I was reading this, but I can't find it right now.
So, here's my big fear with all this. So, obviously, they're raising it to $20 a month now. And, this is obviously to get ahead of all this stuff. My fear is that once that value is there, it's like, we have a bunch of new games out, we're still producing shit. Let's say around the time of next year's Call of Duty being like, okay, we have all of these, we have all these games that are now on the Game Pass that we produced and stuff. There's a lot more value there. Maybe we should raise the price again. It's like, they would very much seriously be testing their luck with that one.
Okay, I found the grandfather statement. This is according to Kotaku that I'm reading this on, but it says on this article for it is that it says current Game Pass for console subscribers will stay grandfathered to their in the membership as long as it stays on auto renew for their subscription. It's not like they can just subscribe one and then. So basically, if you don't have an auto renew on it already. If you want to stay grandfathered in while not paying for Ultimate or whatever and still get day one passes, make sure you have auto renew on. It's pretty much.
And it's that way permanently, or
it says that as long as you continue that, and I assume it will stay that way as long as you keep auto renew on. Again, we don't know the details. I don't know the details, so that's what I read here. It doesn't say for how long, but. It just says as long as it's on auto renew, you will be grandfathered in. So I assume for as long as you keep auto renewed, it will stay that way.
Nice. Okay.
I don't know. God damn though. I'm a little upset that I called this.
I am too. I definitely thought they were going to wait a little bit longer to do this. I anticipated the
with the closure and like them being tighter about money and stuff like that. All of a sudden, it's just like I could feel it coming. It doesn't mean I'm happy about it though.
Yeah. It's just hard because I think the Xbox platform is just in a weird place right now.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think they have good stuff coming, but they are really testing people's patience with this bullshit.
When you look at Microsoft, like in the Xbox in its entirety, basically, it's like the Xbox was always like the thing that people knew or whatever. Like the PlayStation 2 was like where you played a lot of single player games, but it really wasn't. It didn't have the online community that the Xbox had at the time. Yeah. It was like Xbox Live was just kicking off. People were excited. Halo was all big and new and everything like that. Everyone was excited. Everyone was playing multiplayer, going crazy and everything like that.
I know. That was my shit back when
it's like everyone remembers Xbox for those days. 360 came around, it just got even better because like everything just got better, everything got more online, everything was more fun. And then I feel like right after the 360 or whatever, Xbox kind of lost themselves. Like they tried to go to a full just like, oh, we're not just video games anymore, we're everything. That's why it was called the Xbox One, because it was everything in one. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
So it was like it was right around there, and it's like it feels like ever since then, like, oh, the Game Pass was a good direction or whatever. There were some early games that were like kept people's interest in it or whatever, but it was like ever since then it's just like Xbox started ahead on like a full sprint. Like they were so much further out in front of Sony and like even Nintendo at some points, but again, Nintendo really wasn't even participating in this race or whatever. And then it's just like slowly Sony caught up and overtook that in ways where it's like, oh, Xbox is trying to pick itself back up and try and catch up to Sony right now. It's really what it feels like though, right?
Yeah.
Not trying to like comparison or like, console war this or anything like that, but it's like it is what it feels like though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know, man. It's like I still feel like with all the stuff with like the studio closures and everything like that, and it's just like it's still I still feel like people have a sour taste in their mouth right now. But
I certainly do.
Yeah.
They laid off close to 10,000 people this year already.
Yeah.
Fuck me, dude. I get wanting to cut costs, but Jesus. That's why everyone was so like hype about the Xbox showcase, and don't get me wrong, I was too. It's like we just can't forget all that bullshit, though.
No, yeah, it's the problem what I have with just how fast like news moves with like on the internet. It's just like, oh, everyone's big and outraged about this right now. Oh wait, now there's some other thing going on. What's happening with this other bullshit over here? I don't care about whatever I was talking about before. And I go, but we shouldn't. It's like we see all these like layoffs or whatever. We've seen it constantly throughout this year or whatever. The amount of people laid off from gaming and everything like that, studio closures, all that stuff or whatever. It's like, and then people just don't care anymore because it's not relevant news at the moment. And I go, but it still happened. There are still a lot of people without a job. Can we not just be mad about it for a little bit longer to try and like say, hey, we actually want to do something? Nope. We'll just continue to pay for the Xbox Game Pass. Don't even think about it. Oh, I give Call of Duty. Yeah, give me it to right now. Yeah. Play indie games. They're way better.
Yeah.
They're way better.
We're over the lesson.
Or support companies that actually make good games.
We say this every week. Just there are so many good indie games out there. You have no reason to not play them.
Atlas has got like ReFantasia coming out. I'm excited for that one. I don't know if I'll get it right off the bat, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I've been playing SMT5 Vengeance. fucking great.
Man, I really ought to get some good stuff that's on the summer sale before it ends.
Yeah, I keep looking at that too. It's like I see Baldur's Gate 3 is like 20% off right now, and it's like I don't know if it's going to get any lower than that.
It probably won't.
It probably won't.
You're going to be waiting for a while if you want a steeper discount.
Yeah, I think
it's like,
that's...
if you're cool with that, that's one thing.
Yeah, that's why I was just like, yeah. Thing is, like, I'm just going to buy it to have it sit there for who knows how long before I ever decide to play it, or just don't.
That's exactly the thing.
That's why it's just like, I've got other games I should play right now, so I think I'll skip it.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll go on sale or whatever again. Even if it's only 10% off, I might consider it by then, but who knows. Well, it was like I was talking to my brother. I was like, right now, as it sits for the rest of the year, other than like ReFantasia, which again I'm still on the fence about, I don't really care about any other games coming out right now. So I think the rest of this year will be trying just like play through games that I haven't played yet.
Okay.
That I wanted to play. Like I wanted to finish SMT5 Vengeance, and then I was probably gonna go play Alan Wake 2 or start Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth again. I played the intro part, and then I just haven't played since.
That was a lot, though.
Fucking Game Pass,
an hour and a half in. Yeah.
God damn, we are. Fuck. How does this happen? Oh, because we took the first hour talking about movies, basically.
We talked about
and it was
Pixar
great
for
discussion.
over an hour. It was a great, amazing discussion. Are you kidding?
Absolutely. I wouldn't trade that. That was great. So, but yeah, I think that's gonna do it for us. So we don't have a 2-hour podcast, which we definitely could. I just don't want to.
Yeah, let's not.
So, anyway, thank y'all so much for watching or listening to the ramblings of us today. It was fun. It really was. Like, it was one of my more favorite discussions we've ever had on this podcast, I think.
Oh, fuck, did we do an intro?
Nope. It's okay. So, that's been Alex. I'm Andrew. Be sure to subscribe or whatever. Links are in the thing below or whatever. I'm still trying to put out YouTube videos and everything like that. So
we're doing all sorts of stuff. We appreciate the heck out of everybody that listens to these.
Yeah, if you listen to this, seriously, we love you. Honestly.
If you want to, share with family, friends. We always love when people listen to or even contribute to the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like I want people to listen and whatever, and just go like, oh yeah, like I would love to contribute into this conversation. It's like, hit us up. I was like socials or whatever. I know I have that on there as well. Or I always put like a little like a questionnaire thing on Spotify or whatever, because you can do that or whatever. It's like, what do you think about like with this or whatever? It's like, participate in that. That'd be awesome. So, but yeah, or YouTube comments, one or the other. All good shit. Anyway, enough rambling. We will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.